This is the Speak For Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. Cowherd's back, freshly tanned from Mexico, got off a beach, and now is talking NBA and NFL. Good to have the big guy back. Cowherd doesn't care if LeBron misses a couple games that do not mean much during the regular season. I'm totally with him. I mean, seriously, LeBron could take off a week. It wouldn't matter. Even if they fall to the second or third seed, it will not matter. The Cavs will be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Whitlock believes Floyd Mayweather is to blame for holding up the fight with Conor McGregor. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard stops by with his take on the possibility of Kobe Bryant joining Magic in the Lakers front office. NBA champ Glenn Big Baby Davis, by the way, I've seen him shooting hoops. He's still got the touch. You have to hear his take on the Knicks, James Dolan, and Charles Oakley. Finally, Fox Hoops analyst Jim Jackson is here to talk more LeBron because guess what? There's nothing else happening in the NBA right now. It's all LeBron all the time. Ready for Speak For Yourself? Cowherd and Whitlock, take it away.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, bro.
It's good to be back, sitting next to a big baby, but that endearing term. Glenn Davis is with us and joining the panel now, longtime NBA veteran, our buddy Jim Jackson, who likes cigars.
Love them.
Just told me 2 a night. I like that. I have to get into that habit. Let's move to LeBron, whose Cavs won their first game since it was announced Kevin Love would miss the next 6 weeks. Now, LeBron's already second in the league in minutes, almost first per game, and he'll likely have to shoulder an even heavier load for Cleveland until Kevin Love returns. Not that Tyronn Lue is worried about it, saying, quote, if you've had a machine like that, you would ride him too. Jason, Lue may not be concerned about LeBron's minutes, but now we're going to 7 straight finals potentially. Should we be worried about LeBron's minutes?
Listen, if we are worried about LeBron's minutes, and I read ESPN had a very good story about the DNP and how it's a weapon now and how it's a valuable weapon and getting people rest is a smart thing to do. I get all that. And if that's all true, then what we really need to be talking about is shrinking the number of games.
Yes.
Not DNPs, not the stars sitting out. This isn't baseball. You don't go to a city and play 3 games over 3 nights. If LeBron James doesn't show up in Indianapolis or Memphis or somewhere, Oklahoma City, kids are heartbroken. And the paying customer feels like he's gotten robbed. So, yeah, if the league is concerned, if LeBron and the league is concerned about too many minutes, cut the number of games.
I'm going to, as you say, cape up for LeBron. I'm going to use your term. I'm going to defend LeBron strongly here. We should treat him like we treat college students. We should give him a spring break. Because we in the media, LeBron bursts onto the scene. And he's half man, half amazing. He is a cross between Michael and Magic. And we've never really seen anything like him. And he starts winning games, and he gets to finals, and he wins titles. And we in the media say, ain't 6 for 6. What? He dominates the league. Oh, Michael Jordan, 6 for 6, you're not that. So we in the media basically marginalize LeBron. That all that matters in his career is the finals. We don't even care about his regular season. So LeBron listens to us and says, all right, well, the regular season's not as important. And then LeBron watches Favre and Peyton Manning and Kobe Bryant fall off a cliff physically. And LeBron says, I'm going to cut back in the regular season. And we're mad, we're upset, we're shocked. We are the one that created this narrative that the only thing that matters for LeBron is to be Michael or to beat Michael. And now we're upset that LeBron's like, listen to us and is complying with our needs and wishes to just be great late. I'm on LeBron's team on this one. I don't care if he misses 2 games, 10 games a year, regular season. I don't care.
I do. And I just...
I'm with you. I don't care. But, I don't care because you, as a player, you got to take care of yourself, too. And when you play a lot of games, you play a lot of minutes. When I tell you, I know that he's hurting. I know that he got to put that extra work in order to be who he has to be, I feel like he should, take a day off. If you're going to Milwaukee, go take a day off.
I have a problem with 3 stars taking the same night off.
Take a day off.
Here's my issue. They were going to cut back on LeBron's minutes a few years ago. They didn't do it.
Right.
Okay? Michael Jordan was being judged by winning championships the same way. The league was a little bit different, maybe not the pace of play, number of possessions back then, but Michael played.
More physical.
And more physical. Michael played, didn't take days off. If you want to decrease his impact on the court and the wear and tear, decrease his minutes. It's easy to do. If you're going to miss games and we're going to build in an excuse, well, that's totally different. So when we're comparing what Michael did to LeBron, he had the same pressure because we're going to judge Michael Jordan on his championships compared to Bill Russell,
Magic,
and Bird, and it's the same kind of comparison. And I'm a LeBron fan, just because he's from Ohio, and because what he brings to the table. But if they really want him to be his best in the playoffs, cut back on his minutes.
I think they'd like to cut back on his minutes.
Yeah,
but Bosh got hurt, and D. Wade got hurt, and now Love is hurt. And 2 years ago,
they don't have the discipline to stick to it. That's what you're talking about.
Well, but again,
You're coming up with excuses.
No, every year LeBron loses a star for 2 months. J.R. Smith's now out, and Kevin Love.
Sounds like
you know what LeBron does, though? He paces himself a lot better, though. Throughout the course of the game, if you watch LeBron James, he'll handle the basketball, but he'll give it up. So he figured out ways the last 2 to 3 years to get breaks within his playing time.
Michael Jordan did the same thing.
Exactly. So LeBron has been very intelligent on when I'm going to go full speed, or if he's playing 38 minutes, well, maybe 30 of that is really out, going really hard. So he's figured that out.
Would you think if Kobe didn't play a couple games, would he still be in the league today?
But that's not Kobe's mentality.
That's not
Kobe's
Larry
mentality.
Bird.
Kobe's mentality didn't want to miss. He didn't want to miss a game.
Think about the players that were out of injury, that didn't get to play because of
Well, look,
you think
he's
about
being compared to Michael Jordan, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 9 times Michael Jordan played 82 games.
Okay, but
he put a show on every chance he had.
Yeah, but you know what? You are also, my friend, the one that said after last year's finals, you're like, I got to be honest, LeBron's this close to Michael Jordan. You never talked about that regular season stuff in June.
But I went and looked and did some research trying to figure out what the difference in these two guys is. Michael Jordan carried a lunch pail and put in work at every chance he had. It's something that's different than LeBron doesn't do. Colin's a part of an Oreo sandwich. Glenn Big Baby Davis, NBA champion. Chris Broussard, our Fox Sports NBA analyst, also here. Let's start with Charles Oakley, where the feud between Oakley and Knicks owner James Dolan has provoked a lot of reaction this week. Draymond Green is the latest to weigh in. The Warriors All-Star says Dolan's treatment of Oakley represents, quote, a slave master mentality. Before he said that, Colin, he went on to say, the man is a legend, treat him as such. First off, this is Charles Oakley. Why is he buying a ticket to the game? If I'm not mistaken, Dolan owned the team when he was playing, blah, blah, blah. I think Draymond Green has gone way too far here. Do you agree?
Well, my first takeaway is, let's just take James Dolan, Charles Oakley. This has been going on for a lot. What this is a business owner and an employee disagreement. By the way, Mark Cuban owns an NBA team. He was fired. Why? Because he didn't get along with the boss. We've all had this.
Yeah.
We've all worked at a company. You've worked at companies, teams, and the boss and you don't see eye to eye. So James Dolan's the owner. Charles Oakley was a well-compensated, very popular employee. The relationship ends, and now they don't get along. This happened 1,000 times today in America. Now, this is public, and Charles is beloved in New York. He's kind of that pit bull, the flagrant foul guy, and everybody loves him. But this is an owner and an employee disagreement that's gone public. And because Oakley is wildly popular among the fans and Dolan is hated, everybody's going to take shots at Dolan. It's the easy way. I would say, though, we're using certain terms too often, in my opinion. Like slave owner now is used constantly, and I think it's inappropriate here.
Listen, Charles Oakley is the bad guy in this situation, in my opinion. He bullied some security people. I get that James Dolan is a bad, crummy owner. I don't know if Charles Oakley is really that wildly popular. I think James Dolan is wildly unpopular, and almost anybody in this spot would be celebrated. But what really bothers me, and this is what I've been talking about for the last few days, the sense of entitlement is bothering me. He's a legend. How dare you treat a legend this way? They paid the man for services rendered. He decided to become a critic, a public critic of his former employer.
Right.
This is what happens. Mark Cuban and David Stern used to not get along. And David Stern would discipline and fine Mark Cuban. That wasn't a slave owner mistreating a billionaire owner. Listen, Charles Oakley made millions of dollars in the NBA. He used to work for a billionaire. They don't get along now. Draymond's out of line.
The fact is this, because of the racial history of this country and the current racism that we still see existing, whenever you have whites in power and blacks working for them, which is what you have in the NBA, this is going to be an analogy that's used. Don't act like blacks when we amongst ourselves don't call certain things the plantation and, we make references like this all the time. Now, I agree that comparing athletes making millions of dollars to slaves is not a perfect analogy by any stretch of the imagination. But I will also say what I saw on Sunday and what I saw Friday when those security guards treated Charles Oakley the way they did, they didn't have to bum rush him, 8 of them. They didn't have to drag him out like that.
You've never been bum rush.
They had to drag him out like that. And then on Sunday, historically in this country, when whites in authority have been accused of racism or something like that, they'll trot out some blacks who are going to smile and speak on their behalf. And, he's not racist. He's good to us. I hate to say it because I love Sprewell and Larry Johnson, but that's what happened on Sunday. He trotted them out. They smiled.
The optics were terrible.
The optics look like what
this is now
about.
The problem,
the mentality of a slave
But
master.
the problem saying this now, and we all want our athletes to be politicians. We want our athletes to have big, strong opinions. This is what happens. Most athletes, by the way, most sportscasters, this is why I talk football more than I do Trump. I try to stay in my lane and not get out in the weeds and stay in the fairway. If we want our athletes to talk, and I don't, if we want our athletes to be bon vivants, talk about politics and culinary and fashion, you get this clunky stuff that I think doesn't work.
I really think it's bad all the way around because look at me here. Dolan and Oakley shared an experience. The good thing about the NBA is the relationships. To go back and to touch somebody that you went to war with or you've been through something with somebody. After basketball, you don't have to like him, but as an individual, because he played for you, because he sacrificed himself, his body.
Right.
He sacrificed everything to play. So show him respect. Don't handle him like that in front of the people.
But does he not have to show Dolan any respect?
Yeah, when he
He
fired
called him a few names.
No. Does he not have to show Dolan any respect? Again, if you have made a man in your mind a millionaire and he decides to get it publicly, you can privately criticize the Knicks. He publicly decided he's going to be an outspoken public critic of the Knicks. If, as an owner, if I was an outspoken public critic of Glenn Big Baby Davis, I wouldn't be upset if you didn't want to be in my space, if you didn't want to be bothered with me. That would be understandable. James Dolan is a human being just like me, you, and everybody else. Chris, I want to make a point to you, and I get that in private, we say a lot of stupid things. I certainly do in my home, among my friends. I don't have to make everything that I say privately stupid. I don't have to do it publicly. I don't have a right. It's not fair for me.
Some people don't think those things are stupid.
That's
that
fine.
They say in private.
That's fine. I don't have a right to smear James Dolan, Colin Cowherd, or Chris Broussard publicly. Because again, the slave mentality deal is a smear.
He's an alcoholic, he needs help. That's not a smear?
First of all,
he didn't say Charles
more
Dolan.
in truth than calling this man a slave owner.
He didn't say he was a slave owner. He said he was operating with a slave owner mentality.
We know how it lands. We know how it lands.
And it is a mentality.
Oakley didn't call James this. This is Draymond jumping in. So in this instance, this is a bystander, okay? This is a drive-by. This is a, hey, you're a bad guy. You know, I don't like the term. I think there's a lot of terms used by media and players I'm just not constantly comfortable with. And we know what they are. This is one of those terms. I just think in this instance, this is what it's become in my world. It's that we want our athletes to comment on everything. That's now cool. In social media, if you're cool now if you have big, broad opinions on life beyond your sport. Let's be honest about this. Most people have a specialty, myself included.
Yep.
Once I get off the fairway,
way off there,
My margins shrink. My level of knowledge shrinks. Athletes should primarily, and sportscasters, try to stay reasonably close to their lane. When they don't, this is what happens.
I want to make one final point, but we got to move to the next topic. Chris, as a public figure, I've seen, because of our beliefs, I've seen people smear and start throwing names, homophobic or this or that, and it's not fair or right. We just can't publicly smear people just because we have a disagreement with them. Again, you can have all kinds of thoughts in private, but just randomly tossing out, calling this guy slave mentality, and you know how it's gonna land. It's happened to you, it's happened to me, it's happened to a lot of public figures. It's unfair. All right, welcome back to the show. We're joined again by Chris Broussard and Jim Jackson. Let's get to the latest on Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. Yesterday, the Irish Sun claimed McGregor was on his way to America to finalize terms for the fight. After the report, Conor tweeted that Mayweather retired once McGregor arrived in Las Vegas, and Floyd implied that Conor was responsible for holding up the fight, tweeting, quote, "Listen, Conor McGregor, if you really want to get this fight done, take care of your business with the UFC and then have your people get in touch with my people." Colin, who is holding up this fight, Mayweather or McGregor?
Common sense would say Mayweather's holding it up because McGregor's never sniffed this kind of money. And even if he loses, who cares? Everybody in UFC loses. It's not like boxing where there are iconic figures that didn't lose. UFC is all about disciplines. I kickbox, you box, I take a right, I've gone to UFC cards and the inferior fighter absolutely wins. The inferior physique wins. So being undefeated doesn't have this cachet. Are you entertaining? McGregor, Diaz are entertaining. I don't even care about their records. Mayweather's record, if he loses the fight, it invalidates a lot of Floyd Mayweather's legacy. It means nothing if Conor loses.
I don't follow, though, in terms of Mayweather's holding the fight up.
Because he has something to lose. He's uber rich, and if he loses, it dings his legacy.
But
well, why would McGregor?
He doesn't have a boss. He's saying in the tweet, you have a boss. You have to get this cleared with Dana White. Get it clear with Dana White, and then we'll make the deal. Again, there is no third party or a second party to Floyd Mayweather. For me, and you know, I'm not Floyd Mayweather. I don't know what he thinks, but this is such easy money. Of course I want the fight. The man is it's me damn near taking on Jim Jackson in basketball. What, $50 million, Jim? You wouldn't play me one-on-one?
But that's what it comes back to me. Floyd, money, Mayweather. It's about the splits. You're talking about making over $700 million in his career. The highest payday for Conor McGregor is $3 million.
That's it.
So you're talking about the splits. And Floyd, like you said, has more to lose. So if I'm going to fight the splits are going to be tremendous. When he fought Pacquiao, you're talking about close to 220 million, okay, that he was able to walk away with. That's the kind of numbers he's talking about. So he's not going to walk in here and say, we're equal. We're going to split this money to my benefit, whether it's 80-20, 90-10. Let's get this money right.
See, I think what Floyd said in that quote is, we know I'm going to be the highest paid. Conor, you have to take less than UFC to get it done.
Definitely.
But that's what I read into it.
I think Dana White, who's in McGregor's camp, if you will, he's the one holding it up. Because according to Floyd, he's offering Conor, $15 million, maybe a little more than that. Like you said, that's 5 times what he's ever made. But Dana White came in and said, no, each of you get $25 million. That's ridiculous. I mean, Floyd's got to get the lion's share of the cash, and Dana probably doesn't want it, not because of the money. McGregor is his meal ticket. If McGregor loses, and not just loses,
hurts the UFC,
just looks terrible, is embarrassed, can't even lay a glove on Floyd, maybe gets knocked out early, that makes the UFC look kind of suspect in terms of...
Also, if Conor, not to interrupt, but if Conor makes, let's say he does make almost as much as Floyd and has $80 million, why do I have to fight again? He is your meal ticket. Dana wants Conor to fight.
That's a good point.
But he doesn't want to give him too much of the cut because Conor could say, I'm going to Ireland, I'm going to go to Dublin, I'm going to go to the pub tonight and never fight again.
You know what it is? It's like the first time I went to Capitol Grill Steakhouse. I had been eating at Applebee's. And I said, I'll never go back to Applebee's again. You give this man $25 million, $30 million in a fight, he may be like, man, the UFC, I'm done. I'm good.
He might say, but But look, he can't box. I mean, if he fights someone other than Floyd, like a lesser type fight, he still would get destroyed. Look at this sparring. Is that his idea of a jab, just sticking his left hand? I mean, seriously, like, that's terrible. That kind of looks like me or something in there. I mean, you gonna fight Floyd Mayweather?
His best bet, if he fights, he's gonna be the aggressor, and he's gonna try to keep Floyd off balance. He's gonna be crazy in the ring. He's gonna avoid punches, because you know, and we talked about this yesterday, that a professional boxer has a tremendously hard time hitting or connecting with Floyd, let alone someone who doesn't do it for a living. So you know the fight, if they have it, is going to be an ugly type of fight where Conor McGregor is all over the board.
See, that's what I think Conor McGregor is going to be borderline inappropriate.
Yeah, me too.
He will tackle him.
We'll tackle him, do all kinds of stuff.
You don't think anybody else has tried that against Floyd Mayweather?
No, not
like
this.
I thought Canelo Alvarez was just going to put the pressure on him and make him fight.
He was holding him and trying. Conor, I think he's going to do stuff like tackle him, run into him, hit him, run around the ring, try to frustrate.
Madonna did that. Remember?
Madonna fought? I didn't know Madonna fought.
All right, to L.A., where Magic Johnson thinks he's found the solution to the Lakers' struggles. 2 words, Kobe Bryant. All right, Magic recently hired as an advisor to the team and says if he was in charge, he would call Kobe and offer him whatever role he wanted. Maybe point guard. Jason, do you think bringing in Kobe would be a mistake for the Lakers?
I think what this is mostly about is bringing in Magic is already a mistake. Again, I'm a Magic Johnson fan. But if your first thought is, I'm gonna get another former player who has no experience managing a team, that's your first big idea that you're bringing to the Lakers, you're well out over your skis.
Hey, Kobe already ruined the Lakers' salary cap once. Yeah. Why not do it again?
Yeah. So you're saying Kobe would not be a good fit for that?
Kobe would be a good fit in Magic's job. Because I guarantee you this about Kobe. If Kobe were on TV, he wouldn't be talking about the first thing I'm going to do is hire Magic Johnson. Kobe would be talking about some real stuff that could improve the Los Angeles Lakers. I love Magic Johnson, favorite athlete of all time. This is silly and childish.
Okay, Ted Holland's the best GM in hockey. Do you know what he looks like?
Nope.
Billy Beane's the best GM in baseball. You know what he looks like?
Nope.
You know what Kobe Bryant looks like?
Yep.
If you call the GM by one name, if your GM is Drake, Sting, Bono, Kobe, Madonna, you hired the wrong GM.
I'm going to defend.
Am I wrong?
Magic ain't talking about hiring Kobe as general manager probably, but it's a silly move by Magic. They've hired you to be the advisor, and the first thing you bring is sizzle, not steak, to an organization that needs steak.
All right, Magic's talked about he'd like to be president of basketball operations. Okay? Like you said, if he's talking about hiring Kobe Bryant as a GM, which Kobe's shown no interest in having, that would be a mistake, all right? Having Kobe on speed dial, man, what you think of the team? Why don't you come in and work with the guys sometime? That's fine. But as far as GM, he needs to be looking at, you know, a lifer, like a Troy Weaver from Oklahoma City.
I don't know what he looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Scott Perry, Orlando. And get you an analytics guy in there, too. Get a couple of these dudes to do the dirty work and grind for you. And you as Magic Johnson, you lay the vision out, you create the culture, you meet with the free agents, you lead and get other people to do the dirty work. And Kobe's not going to do dirty work.
By the way, people say, well, about Pat Riley. Pat Riley wasn't wealthy. He was a second tier.
And he wasn't a superstar player.
Well, superstar.
No, what I'm saying is...
Coached
what I'm saying is before that, people look and say, well, Jerry West. Jerry West was a GM. Jerry West grew up in a time where after you retired, you needed a job.
Yes.
The mentality now for pro athletes is, I got $100 million in the bank. So are you going to tell me you're going to go back to watching film all night? Because that's what GM is. It's an overnight flight to Munich to see a point guard who may never make the league. GM is hard work. That's why generally in the history of sports, the best coaches and GMs are marginal players. Because once you get to Magic and Kobe status, it is private jet, it is handlers, it is yes people, it is a grooved lifestyle for you to perform, and that's it. I mean, Beyonce didn't waste a lot of time outside of, I am going to perform. That's what our society does. It grooves the system for multi-talented people, right? Mm-hmm. Magic and Kobe are icons. Are they willing to put in 17 hours daily of film work?
If anybody that's going to put in some work is Kobe. He was an awesome player. You got to think about it. Somebody that went throughout his whole career in one team won championships. He had Shaq. He had Paul Gasol. He had things where he had to evolve as a player. And mindset, hey, Bus, this is what I want. This is what I need here. So he knows the intangibles because there's intangible things that you have to win a championship. And if anybody knows, Kobe knows.
Listen, if he really wanted to do it, Kobe's very intelligent. We all
very
know that.
intelligent.
That's not my.
So
I don't doubt that.
I know. But he could do it, and he's got that work ethic.
Yeah.
But I just don't know that he wants to do it. I mean, we've seen Joe Dumars, who wasn't that level of player, but a Hall of Famer who was a good
who played defense.
Don't you
Who carried his own bags.
Hold
you know
on,
what I
don't
mean?
you think, though, Chris, honestly, for Magic to be saying this, maybe he's heard word that Kobe has an interest?
Or something's on the way.
That Kobe had. But again, I think the Lakers messed up. They should have went Kobe first, and Magic could have stayed with the Dodgers.
All right, welcome back. Now joined by Super Bowl champ Eric Davis and the founder of TheBigLead.com, Jason McIntyre. Don't forget that .com or it does nothing for you. Let's go to Dallas, where Tony Romo's future is still up in the air. A lot of teams may be interested in trading for Romo, but former Vikings GM Jeff Diamond thinks trading for the 37-year-old would be a, quote, career-ending mistake because of Romo's injury history and the $14 million base salary. I don't agree, Jason. Would adding Romo be worth the risk to you?
Well, hell yeah. And this sounds like a bad general manager because, again, the way you handle the Romo situation, you do it in lockstep with ownership. Everybody agrees we're going to take the risk on Romo. We know he's brittle. We know it's going to be a little expensive, and he may get hurt. But you do it with ownership hand in hand. And so if it doesn't work out, the owner's going to look at you. You're going to look at the owner and say, we rolled the dice. It didn't work out, but we did it together.
Also, all GMs are not equal like all coaches. If you're David Caldwell in Jacksonville, you're running out of time. If you're Rick Smith in Houston, you're running out of time.
Exactly.
I'd roll the dice if I'm those two. Now, if I'm in Andy Reid's chair, Kansas City, people are liking me right now. But
risky.
there are general managers in this league that are on the clock. The Houston guy, the Jayville guy, I think it's worth the risk.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Lynch going to the 49ers with that 6-year contract, most of the guys are still on the clock at the GM position. I don't think you do it, and I get what you're saying about being in lockstep with the owner. That all sounds good. In theory, that all sounds good, but we've seen GMs, we've seen coaches get fired when it seems like it was an organizational decision. Bringing in Tony Romo, you're going to bring in that money. You're going to bring in an expectation that you're supposed to win, and he's not going to make it through the season. It's not going to happen. You're going to end up playing with your backup. So not only do you not get what you're expecting to get from Tony Romo, you also can show some of your deficiencies as a GM when those other players that have to come up, that next man up mentality, if they're not playing well, then now that owner is looking at you.
I disagree with you, but great point. Great point.
But wait, Whitlock, doesn't this boil down to, can you win a Super Bowl with your quarterback? Can you win a Super Bowl with Alex Smith right now? No.
Can you win a Super Bowl with a guy on the bench? No, and that's what you're going to have with Romo.
Why is he going to be on the bench? How do you know
Because he's
that?
made of glass.
He's been injured the last few seasons.
Hold on. The last 3 times he's gotten
we're
touched.
all aware of that. And
he was
been
broken.
Unlucky in the postseason, the snap in Seattle, and the Des Bryant touchdown catch in Green Bay. Can you win a Super Bowl with Brock Osweiler? No. So take a chance on Romo. What's the hurt? What's the risk?
I agree with your point. I think the pushback to your argument would be, well, Romo ain't never won a Super Bowl either.
He has not. He only has 2 playoff wins.
You can argue that he's the same as those guys.
Eric, I think you brought this point up the other day, is let's just take the quarterback as a slot on a team. And a team has $22 million, they'll pay the quarterback. If I was a general manager and I had a $4 million quarterback, I could flip Tony in there and say, like I don't know what Blake Bortles makes right now this second. There are places I think he's a better fit.
I agree. And the best place is Dallas.
On the bench?
You have a contract? You have a quarterback on his rookie contract.
Yeah.
You can afford him. You can afford him.
Now, you need a defense on Eric.
I
mean,
agree.
He just got shredded
that
in the
actually
playoffs.
is the best space. The question, though, is it a career ender as a GM? I think my point is that guy in Jacksonville, David Caldwell.
He ain't going to Jacksonville. He wants to go someplace where he can win.
What about Houston?
He's not playing.
If I'm on a good team, with the deal I make with Tony, there's some incentives in it based on how many games he plays. I protect myself financially. If he wants to play for a great team, he needs to back up a little bit financially.
He doesn't want to sit in Dallas.
All right, to Terrell Owens, whose campaign to make the Pro Football Hall of Fame has gotten some big endorsements lately, including Steve Young, and now T.O.'s former coach in Dallas, Bill Parcells, says he thinks he would put Owens in the Hall despite his history of disruptive behavior. Colin, do you agree with Bill Parcells?
I agree with Bill on everything, including this. I know T.O.'s a headache. It always, you know, when we were in our 20s, we used to have the crazy hot scale. She's crazy, but the hot outweighs the crazy. It's a
Very
little
few unicorns.
Okay. So the point being with T.O., yes, T.O. comes with baggage. To me, your argument's valid, but his production is so great, it reduces the level of the importance of the craziness. Again, Andre Reed was really good. If Andre Reed was T.O. personality-wise, I wouldn't consider Andre Reed for the Hall of Fame. He's considered because he was pretty productive and a heck of a good guy in the locker room. I just think T.O. is one of these...
4 straight Super Bowls.
T.O. is one of these seminal... He's one of the 5 best athletes I've ever seen in the league. He's Walter Payton, he's Jerry Rice, he's Randy Moss, he's Javon Kearse, he's Lawrence Taylor. There was just no Deion Sanders. He was too productive not to put him in.
Short of Ray Caruth, he's the biggest headache in NFL
wait a second. Hold on.
history,
He just
in my
mentioned
opinion.
he mentioned Randy Moss.
I get it.
Can we,
but
You cannot put T.O. in the same category with Ray Caruth.
I didn't put him. I did not put him in. I said short of. I did not.
But you mentioned
He's
him
a
right
disruptive.
alongside. I was on that team. Trust me. When you talk about distractions, having FBI agents pull you off the practice field and question you, that's a distraction.
I get it. But listen, Bill Parcells argued both sides in his full statement. We didn't talk about his full statement in the setup. He said, I would strongly consider, but he also said he was highly disruptive and cited details like the quarterback couldn't count on him.
He also
Route
said...
would be 12 yards, T.O. would go 9. Unreliable.
It's a production business, and he produced at an extremely high level.
He would consider
who
putting him
else
in the
was
Hall of Fame.
unreliable? Randy Moss, who quit in Oakland, who quit in Minnesota, who got run out, by the way, of the New England Patriots when they were on top. He started complaining. He went back to Minnesota. In Minnesota, Randy Moss complained about the food to the point that they kicked him out of town. And I love Randy Moss. He's a Hall of Famer, but so is Terrell Owens. No offense.
I'm not going to say that T.O., because, of course, Bill Parcells said he didn't run the proper route and the proper depth. He didn't do it. I believe that. But for 1,078 times, he ran the correct route, okay? And you know what? And some of those routes turned into 158 touchdowns and 15,000 yards. Okay,
you know, for a guy that's been occasionally disruptive, you should be on the wrong side.
Come on.
And I say that as your friend.
It takes one to know one. I've already told you I'm speaking from experience. I know what I'm talking about. Y'all are minimizing how disruptive the guy was. I'm not.
This is the Speak For Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. To all the listeners, thanks for subscribing. Tell all your friends. We love the feedback. We're all over social media. Hit us up. And yes, I even got some of your negative comments about my NBA mock draft. I tried to get it in the show, but they weren't really biting. I'm going to continue to effort that. We've got to get more college hoops in this show, right? There are some storylines like Gonzaga. They're frauds, even though they're unbeaten. It's going to be a really, really tight race for the Final Four. There's like 7 or 8 good teams. UCLA's good again. How's this? At the top of my mock draft, I have a guy going first that I can't even pronounce his name. Seriously. Big kid on Arizona, 7-footer, shoots threes, reminds me of Dirk. I tried to get it in the show. We're going to effort college hoops, folks. It's almost March. And you know March Madness is my favorite time of the year. Talk to you tomorrow.